My full name is Victoria Argento, and I am currently a Monroe County Court judge. I mean, you don't have to be a Monroe County Court judge to know that there's been an increase in gun violence. There's been an increase in cases where people have guns. So people use guns, and people feel a need to have guns to protect themselves. So I think that's just been a steady increase in that during the 5 years that I've been here, the 5 years that I've completed here. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why they started that specific court.
I've been a prosecutor for 24 years, and I've been the elected DA for 4 years, and I'm just starting my second term. If you look at the crime in our area too, it's not that it's occurring everywhere. There are pockets in the city where, you know, this is where all the crime is occurring. I see it as, you know, the poverty, the lack of family structure in the education system. I see all of it working together, because those with the family structure are better able to stay in school, and they're a little bit better on the poverty scale. So I think they all interplay.
I've been a police officer with the city since October of 1993 and an undercover narcotics investigator since April of 1999. For 6 years, I was on what's called the VEST team, which is the Violence Enforcement Suppression Team, where we targeted the top 10 most violent individuals within the city. Have to be proactive because, or actually we're reactive now rather than proactive, because there is so much violence. You know, we hop from one group to another because it's kind of, there's so much that we can't be proactive anymore. It's all reactive, you know, reacting to a shooting here, a shooting there, a murder here, a murder there, which is, you know, 90% of the time drug related. So when I first started, it was cocaine. You know, the majority of our search warrants they were for cocaine. And now it's switched to, you know, the majority of our search warrants are heroin. And cocaine's taking a back seat to heroin because heroin's so cheap. And I'd say a lot of our homicides and shootings happen over really drugs and girls.
There's a theory, and I really subscribe to that the pharmaceutical arena has really fueled the heroin addictions in the area, because they're prescribing, you know, oxycodone and Vicodin and all kinds of opiate medications to anyone.
I think there's going to come a point in time where, you know, the saying, well, who do you know that doesn't have a family member that's been affected by cancer? It's going to be, who do you know that doesn't have a family member that's been affected by heroin? To get a confidential informant, first of all, you have to treat them with respect and like human beings. We usually get our informants through search warrants, where, you know, we found them in a search warrant. They're either working off charges, or we don't have charges on them, but they decide they want to make some money, and they become informants.
Yes, I see a lot of people get killed. I see a lot of people get. It's just crazy in Rochester. I see a lot of everything. Every corner you look at is somebody selling drugs, or somebody getting killed over drugs, or somebody selling drugs to somebody, then they're not giving them their money, lying, talking about they never got the drugs, because they find out they end up getting the drugs, so then they end up killing them.
Because you can make a lot more money selling heroin and marijuana than you can even at McDonald's for $15 an hour.
My name is Meredith Lee, and I'm a social worker at the Rochester City School District at number 28 school, which is a kindergarten through 8th grade school, and I also work at Pinnacle School 35, which is an elementary school K through 6. There are a lot of fights in the middle school. We do have difficulty getting the kids into the classrooms a lot of the time. But overall, I would say that we do a pretty good job of making sure that the kids feel safe, secure, and that it's a loving environment, the best that we can.
The problem is because then we're at a point where maybe the parents haven't had the opportunity to get an education, and now they've become parents themselves, so then they didn't think it was important, or they weren't taught that it was important, or they were somehow unable, because there's a lot of kids who want to stay in school, but because of the circumstances and the schools that they're in, it's impossible to learn in some of these environments that we have.
One of the biggest causes that I see is the difficulties that parents have in terms of providing for their children financially. A lot of single parent homes, a lot of homes where mom is working 2 jobs or dad is working 2 jobs. There aren't a lot of adults around to help provide a routine. With the younger children, there are many, many children that come into school that have been exposed to parents using drugs and alcohol. I also think people don't really understand how difficult it is to live in a neighborhood where you oftentimes don't see a lot of positive role models.
Maybe the education system is not showing them or teaching them how to resolve disputes. So the way they resolve a dispute is to take out a firearm, take out a gun. You disrespected my girlfriend at school. Somebody had an argument over a spoon versus a fork, and they pull out their gun, they pull the trigger, and someone's dead. They don't think of the consequences.
We don't have the after-school supports for these students that we need. We try, and I think there's agencies that are doing a really good job. The education being the most important thing, that is true. But the education also has to encompass the social emotional needs. We can't be the family in a school in that we're not the parents. We can't teach the children everything, but we can help them have a more well-rounded and better understanding of the things that they need to do so that they can move through their lives in a productive way.